Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Madison Johnson from MOC Tech, and today we're going to be talking about everyone's favourite big issue at the moment in the world of tech, and that is mandatory age verification. And we're making this video today following California recently passed a law demanding that everyone must be age verified at a operating system level, or that's how it has appeared in many news headlines. While it isn't quite as bad as it sounds in that initial headline, it actually is terrifying for what it could open the doors to in the future. So sit back and relax as much as you can as we talk about age verification and mandating this be done at an operating system level. So if you've been living under a rock for the past year, a massive debate in the world of politics and tech is the mandate for age verification to access services across the internet. So that is the mandate demand that you produce your ID so you can go on the internet and look at certain websites, such as pornography, which, okay, I don't really care for that. But then mandate age verification to access things such as Discord, to play video games. Then the scope creep kept going more and more and more to every single platform, every single touch of the internet, where something could be adult content or content the government deems to be adult and not suitable for minors. This could be anything from any form of political topic, any form of information that the government deems unsuitable. Can be quite a scary proposition that the government can control what it deems you to be suitable. But that is diving a bit more into the political spectrum of things, whereas we are primarily a tech-focused channel, but sometimes the two unfortunately do intersect. Mandating age verification brings a whole host of issues, from political control and free speech concerns to a whole load of security concerns. Now, all the politicians said it's about protecting the children, which, quite frankly, I think is a load of rubbish, considering all of the spaces that children can get groomed and be exposed to harmful content are all spaces designed for children to begin with, such as Roblox, for example. Whereas, yes, you've age-gated a mature space, but let's be honest, the majority of child grooming is not done in adult spaces, it's done in spaces designed for children. People who want to commit these heinous, atrocious things are going to get in via spaces designed for children to begin with, not the other way around, which it's scary. But the concern to protect children in trying to mandate verification across all services and access to the web, it poses so many issues. But the reason we're talking about this in today's video is the recent laws in California that mandates age verification at an OS level. I try to keep it PG-13 on this channel, so I get one F-bomb. So the people who made this law are fucking stupid. But there has been some misinterpretation of what this actually means in a lot of news headlines. Now, this doesn't mean actual age verification in the traditional sense, such as demanding that you scan your ID in, and a service provider at an OS level has to then maintain and verify that to ensure you are the age you say you are. Whereas this law is very loose and very hands-off and doesn't achieve anything as of yet. It is the same approach as to when you go to, let's say, a video game on Steam and it's a mature game, you have to enter your birthday to enter. Now, anyone can enter any age and proceed onto the website. And this is what this law demands as well, that at an OS level, you just prompt users to type in their age and without any additional ID verification. And what an operating system then has to do is have this age token within an operating system that is then passed on to websites and services, so they can look at the age that your operating system says you are and say, oh, even though people can lie about their age, especially if it is just a simple drop-down box where you can type in anything. So, what's the issue with this? Apart from the fact that this really doesn't do anything, it doesn't protect anyone, doesn't actually age gate anything, it doesn't segregate anyone from any age group, it adds further scope creep to laws to infringe on your freedoms and the way you use your computer. So while it may be a bit hands-off now, it opens the doors for government and lawmakers to further push and infringe on your privacy rights. But instead of just focusing on the societal impact and the political impact that this may have, it actually opens up a massive security vulnerability. Now, potentially not as big as a vulnerability as of a big central pool storing all of your data and all of your ID information. This opens up a different type of security concern, and that is that if you mandate that the operating system has to have a mandatory way to communicate a certain piece of information with a service provider or website, that is a security vulnerability that could be open to exploitation. Now, you may think, if the operating system only shares that one bit of information, what's the big ideal? It's just a number, right? Well, that is still a pool of information that is stored at an operating system that is mandatory for any service provider to then access. And that is a major vulnerability in any system, to have something that is mandatory to always communicate with a service or an application or an internet website. That opens up the ability for that handshake to be exploited. I strongly believe that this should be something that should never happen. No operating system should have to verify and have that mandatory handshake ever. Now, if you want to go on and use a service on the internet to download a certain app, then there is the argument of you are in control. You have that choice to use that website, to use that service or not. Whereas mandating it at a computer hardware level, I think that is pure dystopian, that you have to be at the right age to use your computer, and even to buy a computer that is a tool to do so many things. Do I have to show my ID and verify who I am every time I go outside because I could go to an adult website or down the alcohol aisle at Tesco's? That is crazy. But that is definitely something that's not going to happen in my country, of course. Given the political climate and the type of person I am, what do I have to go show the Gestapo my ID every time I go outside? Well, not yet, but let's not jinx it. It's bad enough that there's mandatory age verification to access services at the moment with your ID, but to have forced that handshake on the operating system as a whole, I am completely against. And as I said, having that mandatory shared pool of data between an application or service with your operating system just opens up a whole range of exploits that could potentially happen. Anything that's stored at a OS level that has to then be sent. Yeah, this opens so many security vulnerabilities, especially as this is a law that's going to be rushed in on so many operating systems. Microsoft already want you to create an account with them, so they're not going to care. But an operating system like Linux, which is open source, and each individual operating system that uses the Linux kernel is maintained and created by a different maintainer, a different organization, and a lot of distros are community-led projects where people don't get paid to do this. So this could lead to a lot of short-sighted approaches and implementations in order to make them legally compliant, which could open up even more security vulnerabilities, because when you're forced to quickly code something, develop something, there's going to be security vulnerabilities in that, unless you take the time to, of course, go through the official testing and verification and security measures, which most independent maintainers of Linux distros don't have the time or resources to be able to do. So what, do you simply just stop your distro, stop working on your distro, or do you just shoehorn in this bullshit age marker in your operating system? But you could say at least they're not demanding that each Linux distro, each operating system has to scan your ID in order to use your computer. Of course, we're not there yet, but this opens up the ability to creep the scope of the current legislation, and also pushes the boundaries of what lawmakers can get away with passing. So while this law may not be the entire dystopian future that we predict could happen, it pushes that boundary even more closer to that dystopian future where you are constantly monitored and controlled by the powers that be. As I said before, a computer is a tool to do so many fantastic things. It can perform wonders for your life, and it is a platform, it is a tool to go out and achieve things, much like the real world is. And it is a tool that should be open to everyone and for the people to choose what they can go and do with it. So if you then go on to access something that is deemed adult or mature, you are in control of accessing that content. You are still responsible if you want to access that content. Whereas if you just buy a PC, you have no choice regardless of if you intend to access any mature or adult services. Which opens up further exploitation even to services that don't require age verification. The fact that they can still exploit that handshake to get that age verification data, it could spell disaster for the world. Anyway, I think that's going to be enough on this topic. I could talk forever on the dystopian future that age verification, especially when you have to upload your ID, could pose. We could be here forever. I think all of these laws are not about protecting children. It's about control. It's about harvesting your data and ensuring that they can control the way you consume media, the way you consume your hardware, access to hardware. It is, at the end of the day, another form of control, and going after the use of a computer is just one way a government can pit one type of people against another and say, oh, think of the children, we can pass all this hurtful legislation because we thought of the children, even though it's the rich and powerful that are the ones hurting the children. But that's a topic for another day. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. Share all of your thoughts and opinions around this in the comments down below. What do you think of California passing this law demanding that an age marker be put at an OS level, and your wider views on the whole topic as a whole? Let me know all of that in the comments down below. Anyway, I've been Madison Charlton from MLC Tech. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in another one soon. Goodbye for now.